angles. So what is an angle? Angle is a figure which is formed by two lines that are extending from the same point. So if the point is O and these are the two lines OA and OB, then this is called an angle. Okay, let's look at the types of angles. So the first is an acute angle. What's an acute angle? It is an angle which measures less than 90 degree. So anything from 0 to 90 degree is called an acute angle. Now for the right angle, what are those? They measure exactly 90 degree. Okay. Now the third is an obtuse angle. What is an obtuse angle? It is more than 90 degree but less than 180 degree. Okay. And the next is a straight angle. They measure exactly 180 degrees. And finally we have a reflex angle. So they measure 180 degree to 360 degree. So anything above 180 but less than 360 constitutes of a reflex angle. Now let's look at different properties of angles. So the first is vertical angles. Now if there are any two lines, like we have two lines, right, and they intersect, then the angles which are opposite to each other, they are equal. So basically angle 1 will be equal to angle 3, and again angle 2 will be equal to angle 4. This is a property which is required to find out the missing angles. This is the first property. Now we know complementary angles. So what are those? If there are two angles which add up to 90 degree, then they are known to be complementary angles. So if angle 1 is 30 degree, angle 2 is 60 degree, then they can be called as complementary angles because 30 plus 60 is 90 degree. Similarly, we have supplementary angles. What are those? Now if the two angles they add up to be 180 degree, then they are supplementary. So let's consider angle 1 to be 120 degree, angle 2 to be 60 degree. Then when we add them up, what it gives us? 180. So they are supplementary angles. Let's also learn some other terminology. First is a transversal. What's a transversal line? Now we have two different lines, okay? O, A, B, C. Okay, these are two different lines. This is known as a transversal. So it basically cuts the lines at distinct points. This is called a transversal. Now we have interior angles. What are those? Now you know what's a transversal, right? And these are if there are two parallel lines, and this is the sign with which we show that the lines are parallel. Okay, so if the angle is formed by this transversal and two parallel lines, then these angles are known as the interior angles, and we have a property. Okay, first is that angle 1 plus angle 2, this will be 180 degree because it is on a straight line, right? So this 1 plus 2 will be 180 degree. Again, similarly, 3 plus 4 will also be 180 degree because they are straight. What can we say about these? They are supplementary angles. Now similarly, for an exterior angle, what do we have? If again we have a parallel line which is cut by the same transversal, then the angles which are on the outer side, they are known as the exterior angle. And similarly, you see, since they lie on the same straight line, so angle 1 plus angle 2 is 180 degree. Again, angle 3 plus angle 4 is 180 degree. So they are also supplementary angles. Now we have several other properties. Let's look at this. So these are two parallel lines. Okay, we can see by this symbol. This is a transversal. Now we have different properties which are very important and very useful for solving any missing angles. First is corresponding angles. What's the definition? Any interior angle and one exterior angle which are not adjacent but on the same side of the transversal. What do we mean by that? So if we have two parallel lines, this is a transversal, then these are the interior angles 2, 4, 7 and 5, and 1, 3, 8 and 6. They are exterior angles. That's what we learned before. Now if they are non-adjacent and on the same side of the transversal, so the same side means 1, 2, 5 and 6 lie on the same side of the transversal. So then these two angles 2 and 6, they will be equal to each other. Similarly 1 and 5, they will also be equal to each other. Again, if we take this side of it, then 3, 4, 7 and 8 are on the other side of the transversal. So 3 and 7 will be equal to each other, and 4 and 8 will also be equal to each other. They are known as corresponding angles. The next property is alternate interior angles. So what are the interior angles first? 2, 4, 5 and 7. Now if you have that, the interior angles on the opposite sides of the transversal, they are equal. So we have something like this, where these two lines are parallel. This is the transversal. Now 2 and 7 and 4 and 5. So if this is kind of Z which is forming, right, where these two are parallel and this is the transversal, that shows that 4 and 5 are equal to each other. And on the other hand, if we have an opposite Z, something like this, right, so over here again this 2 and 7, they are also equal to each other. This is the property of the alternate interior angles. Remember the concept of Z. Okay. Now similarly we have exterior angles. Alternate exterior angles are also equal. So 3, 1, 8, 6, they are the exterior angles. So when we look at that, we'll see that 3 is basically equal to 6, and again 1 is equal to 8. So we have something like this, where the angle opposite to the sides of the transversal and on the exterior side, they are also equal. And we have next, we have co-interior angles. So the co-interior angles are those which are on the same side of the transversal and they are the interior angles. So we have same side of the transversal means 2, 5 or 4, 7, right? And it has to be interior angle. So this forms something like, if these are the two parallels, this is the transversal, then this was angle 2, this was angle 5, right? So something like this. They are on the same side of the transversal and they are interior angles. So these will be supplementary. So 2 plus 5 will be 180 degree, and similarly 4 plus 7 will also be 180 degree. It is recommended that you understand the concepts of these properties very clearly, because they are used to solve almost any question. Let's try and solve some questions so that we can get an idea. So the first is question number 1, where we have to find E, F, G and H. Now let's look at the concepts clearly. So over here F is given as 75 degrees. Okay. Now if you look at this carefully, these are the two parallel lines. This is one transversal, this is another transversal. Now E plus 75, that will be co-interior angle and it will be supplementary because they lie on the interior, they are the interior angles and they lie on the same side of the transversal. So we can easily get angle E, which is 105 degree. Now you see we have a small triangle over here and one angle is given as 47 degree. So we can very easily find angle 2. How? Because they are vertically opposite angles. We have two lines which are crossing each other, and we learn the property that the opposite angles will be equal. So angle 2 is 75 degree. Now it's pretty simple. for this triangle we know angle 2, we know this is 47, so we can easily find angle F because the sum of the angles is 180 degree in a triangle, so we found out angle F. Similarly, again this we'll see that F is equal to angle G. Why? Because they are vertically opposite. Now moving on to H. So you see that these two lines are parallel, which was given over here. This is one transversal, right? So now H and G, this one of them is an interior angle, one of them is an exterior angle, and they lie on the same side of the transversal. So what is the property over here? They are corresponding angles, and corresponding angles are equal. So angle H is equal to angle G, which is 58 degree. Now let's try and solve another question. Over here, angle J and 74, they lie on this straight line, right? So they will be summing up to be 180 degree because they are supplementary. So we got very easily the value of angle J. Now you see, let's try and get angle E. This is one transversal based on these parallel lines, right? This is one transversal based on these parallel lines. So E will be equal to 74. Why? Because it is corresponding angle. They lie on the same side of the transversal, and one is interior angle, one is exterior angle. Now moving on, let's find out F. So J will be equal to F. Why is that? Because these two lines are also parallel to each other, and in that case this line becomes the transversal. So if we have something like that, then J and F, they'll also be equal to each other based on the corresponding angles. Similarly, K will be equal to F because this becomes a transversal. Here there are actually two sets of parallel lines. One is this and another is these three lines, right? So you have to keep on shifting your angles to check that which forms the transversal, and over here we can consider which to be corresponding. So and then K is equal to F because they are corresponding. Then F is also equal to G. Why? Because it is vertically opposite. Similarly, if we consider this part of it, then H will be equal to 74 degree. Why? Because they are corresponding to each other. And then angle I will be equal to angle H because it's also corresponding based on this transversal. So this gives us the complete solution. Now let's try and do question number 3. Over here we see that this is a set of parallel lines and these are another sets of parallel lines. Let's try. So first we notice is angle C will be equal to 138 degree. Why? Because this is the concept of the same Z that we had, right? So these are alternate interior angles and they are equal to each other. Now moving on, angle E will be equal to angle C will be 138 degree. Now why is that? You see, this is the concept of corresponding angles. One is interior, one is exterior, then we also have a transversal. So they are corresponding angles. Then angle D will be equal to angle E will be same as 138 degree. Why? Because they are vertically opposite angles. Now angle E plus angle F will be equal to 180 degree. Why? Because they are co-interior angles, right? They lie on the same side of the transversal and so they add up to be 180 degree. So angle F will be 180 degree minus 138 degree, which gives us 42 degrees, right? Yes, so this is the solution for these questions. Now let's try and move on to the angle properties of a triangle. The first is that any exterior angle, so this is the exterior angle, right? If you extend the line of any side, then the angle which is formed will be equal to the sum of the two opposite interior angles. So over here, angle 3 will be equal to angle 1 plus angle 2. This is a very important property and it helps us to solve a lot of questions. Let's see the solution of question number 4. Now over here, this is parallel to this, it's given, and this line is parallel to this line. So the first thing that we see is this particular Z, right? You notice this Z. So this is an alternate interior angle. Okay, so this 77 will be equal to B plus 22 degree. So we easily can get the value of B. Now you have the value of B as 55 degree. Now notice that this is a triangle, right? This is a triangle where you know two of the sides and you don't know A. So what we know that the sum of angles of a triangle is 180 degree. So if we sum it up, we'll get A as 90 degree. This is very easily achievable. Now look, this is a straight line where 77, A and C will be supplementary because it forms a straight line. So now if we add them up, we get that C is 13. Let's move to question 5 where we have a triangle which is given. So we can very easily calculate the value of angle B because 75 plus 49 plus angle B will be equal to 180 degree because sum of angles of a triangle. So if we add them up, that gives us 124 plus angle B is 180 degree. So angle B is basically 56 degrees. Now look at this very carefully. We have a straight line. There are different ways. I am opting the easiest according to me. So angle B plus angle A plus 49 degree will be giving us 180 degree because it's a straight angle. So we know 56 degree plus angle A plus 49 degree gives us 180 degree. So therefore angle A will be 180 degree minus 56 degree minus 49 degree, which is 180 degree minus 105 degree. So that is 75 degree. There was also an easier way to do this if you don't want to do any sort of calculation. Notice that these two lines are parallel. So we again have the Z pattern. So angle A is directly equal to 75 degree. You can try and solve it using the best approach according to you. Now moving on to the angle property of a polygon. So polygons are any-sided, n-sided figures. You can consider them to be triangle, which is 3-sided. You can consider them to be square, which is 4-sided. Then a hexagon, which is 6-sided, or a heptagon, which is 7-sided. It can be n sides. So the sum of the interior angles of a polygon is this 180 degree into n minus 2, where n is the number of sides. Now let's check it. We know that for a triangle it's 180 degree. So if we put n as 3, then it is 180 into 1. So that gives us 180 degree. Similarly for a square we get 360 degree. And the measure of each interior angle is 180 into n minus 2 divided by n. It's important so that you can understand these formulas and remember them. It's very easy to solve the questions. Let's solve this question, that the sum of interior angles of a polygon is 3060. So what's the number of sides? We know that the sum is n minus 2 into 180 degree. So we can just solve this. That will give us that n is 19. Now let's try and solve this to determine the number of sides if the sum of the interior angles is 1440. So we know that 1440 will be equal to n minus 2 into 180 degree. So 1440 divided by 180 degree will be n minus 2. Now we can easily divide them by 9. So 9 ones are 16. So that gives us 8, right? 18 into 8 will give us 144. So 8 is n minus 2. Therefore, the number of sides is 10 for this particular question. let's try and solve some mixed bag so that we can revise all the concepts together. So we have to solve for all the missing angles over here. Now this sign essentially means that it is 90 degree. Okay, so the first thing, which is easiest, we see this is a straight line, right? So 90 plus 4 plus 47 will be 180 degree. So 90 degree plus angle 4 plus 47 degree, which is 180 degree. So therefore, what will be angle 4? 180 degree minus 90 degree plus 47 degree. So when you add and subtract, we get angle 4 is 43 degree, right? So we got the value. Now moving on. Again, we see that we consider this straight line, then angle 1 plus 90 degree plus angle 4 is basically equal to 180 degree, right? Also, if you notice that these two are vertically opposite because these are the two lines which are intersecting. So angle 1 can be directly taken to be equal as 47 degree. So angle 1 also we know the angle. Similarly, if we consider this line, then angle 2 plus angle 1 plus 90 degree will be equal to 180 degree because it's a straight line. Now we know angle 1, which is 47 degree. We know this is 90 degree. So again, angle 2 will be 43 degree. Also, you can take them to be vertically opposite with angle 4 as well. Similarly, angle 3 will be equal to 90 degree because it is vertically opposite to this side. So this is the solution for this particular question. Now for question 9. How do we find the values of G and H? So the first thing that we notice is these are two parallel lines, right? And this is the transversal. Now, what is the concept that we can use? The concept is 3x plus 4 will basically be equal to 6x minus 17. Why? Because they are corresponding angles. They lie on the same side of the transversal. One is interior and another is exterior. So basically, if we solve them, what do we get? 3x is equal to 21. So x is 7. Now put that over here. So 3x plus 40. What is the value? 3x plus 40 is 21 plus 40. So that gives us 61 degrees. So this is 61 degree. Similarly, this will also be 61 degree. We don't need to again get the values because we know these two are equal. Now, angle G will be equal to 61 degree. Why? Because it is vertically opposite. And also, 61 degree plus angle H will be equal to 180 degree. Why? Because they are co-interior angles. Now, angle H will be 180 degree minus 61 degree. So what's the solution? The solution is 190 degree. So this is the answer for angle H. Now I'll move on to the last question where you need to find out all these values. Let's do it step by step. So these two values are given, which is 80 degree and 60 degree. So first thing that we can find out is angle 10. Why? 60 degree plus 80 degree plus angle 10 will be 180 degree. Why? Because it's the sum of angles of a triangle. So 140 degree plus angle 10 is 180 degree. So therefore angle 10 is 40 degree. We got the value of angle 10. Now if you look at it very carefully, so these two are parallel lines, right? Again, these are parallel lines as well. Now if these are parallel lines, and these lines are also parallel to each other. So this angle will be equal to this angle. Angle 5 will be equal to 60 degree. Why? Because they are corresponding angles. So we got the value of angle 5. Now if you look at it over here like this forms a Z. So angle 9 will be equal to angle 5, which is 60 degree. Why? Because they are interior alternate angles. So we got the value of angle 5, we know the value of angle 10, and we know the value of angle 5 and 9. So similarly, we can easily get the value of angle 6 as well. How can we get that? If you consider this particular Z, then angle 10 plus angle 9 is equal to angle 5 plus angle 6, because they are interior alternate angles. Let's plug in the values. 40 degree plus 60 degree is equal to 60 degree plus angle 6. So therefore angle 6 is 40 degree. So now we know the value of this 9, 5 and 6. Okay. Moving on. Angle 7 will be equal to angle 10 because they form a corresponding angle. These two lines are parallel. This is the transversal. So angle 7 is equal to angle 10, which is equal to 40 degree. That is because they are corresponding angles. So we know the value of angle 7 as well. Now, how do we get angle 8? We'll get angle 8 because these two lines are parallel to each other, right? Now if they are parallel, then these two angles will be corresponding to each other. So angle 8 will again be equal to 80 degree because they are corresponding angles. Now you got angle 8 as well. How do we find out angle 4? See, angle 4 plus angle 5 plus angle 6 is equal to 180 degree because this is a straight angle. We know angle 5 and angle 6. 5 is 60 degree and angle 6 is 40 degree. So therefore your angle 4, that will be 80 degrees. We got the value of angle 4 as well. Now moving on, this is a triangle 3, 9 and 4. Angle 3 plus angle 9 plus angle 4 is equal to 180 degree because sum of angles of a triangle. So angle 3 plus 9 is 60 degree plus 4 is 80 degree is equal to 180 degree. So therefore angle 3 will be equal to 40 degree. So basically we got the values of all the possible angles from this figure. Try and understand this question and let me know if you have any questions, and I'll try and explain it in a better way. Thank you.